Good evening and welcome to the July 24th regular school board meeting. At this time, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. After the pledge, please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to observe a brief moment of silence for Egan High School student Ellis O'Toole and Eastview High School teacher Kay Huner, who all passed away recently. Thank you. Okay. Good evening, public and board members. There are no additions or changes to the agenda today. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as outlined.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sachin and second by Bianca. All those in favor of approving the agenda as outlined, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. Next up is our recognition by the school board. And I would first like to welcome head coach Brett Kozadowski to introduce the Dakota United Hawks Adaptive Softball PI Division team.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Krieger. You'd think by now I'd have that memorized for as many times as we've been here with the Dakota United Hawks, but thank you, Mr. Balsoni, for having that up there for me. Good evening, my name is Brett Kozadowski, and I'm the head coach of the Adapted Athletics PI softball program, the Dakota United Hawks. I want to thank you all for having us here to be recognized for our accomplishments this past season and capturing first place in the state tournament earlier this summer. The Dakota United Hawks had an amazing season that featured many highlights. Our program consists of 14 student athletes and 3 coaches. I would once again like to thank the school board and our number one supporter, Mary Krieger, for allowing us the opportunity to have this program in our district. Our adapted program exceeds anything else in the state of Minnesota and beyond, and it's because of your ongoing support. And I would like to thank our athletic director, Matt Percival, for his hard work to ensure that our adapted sports program continues to be the best in the state. I would also like to thank my 2 amazing assistant coaches, Scott Coonsey and Doug Watson, for all their time and energy that they put in this program. We would not have the same success without them coaching alongside me. This is now the 2nd year in a row that we've had a target on our backs, as we were the defending back-to-back state champions. This team was led by the heart and soul of a program senior, Fiona Sitzman. Fiona has many state titles to her name, and I would encourage you all to read a section dedicated to her this past June as the Difference Maker Award recipient for the Star Tribune's All Metro Sports Awards. She was certainly a difference maker in more ways than one in her entire Hawks career, and we will definitely miss her. But we know that this program is in great hands because of her. Alongside Fiona was her fellow senior captain, Jordan Johnson, who had been a great addition for the Hawks the last 2 seasons. Fortunately for Dakota, we have solid athletes, and our numbers are through the roof compared to many other districts that struggle to even field a team year to year. Our annual summer sports camp hosted 73 students this last year for current Hawks and future Hawks. And that's a tribute to all the parents who get their kids involved in our community and our program. This is a very special team that has been together for many, many years. And even though we're graduating a couple of very important players, I know that our program is in great hands with these younger Hawks who played vital roles in completing another perfect season and our first ever 3-peat state championship achievement. Congratulations to the Hawks, and thank you for having us here tonight. The Hawks that are being awarded tonight: Dominic Albus, Jay Bama, Amisha Etter, Liv Grossbauer, Bennett Herman, Sam Holland, Jordan Johnson, Sammy Jordheim, Tommy Jubarian, Thomas Klobe, Reese Martin, Caden Needham, Chloe Shibata, Fiona Sitzman, and assistant coaches Doug Watson and Scott Coonsey. Thank you again for having us.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, Coach. Here. Fantastic. Next, I'd like to welcome head coach Scott Oxley to the podium to introduce us to the Dakota Hawks CI Division state runner-ups.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Mary Krieger and school board. Appreciate it. We had quite an exciting season. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you the 2023 CI Hawks varsity softball team. The team completed an amazing season of play as they posted many firsts for our program. A couple worth mentioning here as they were the top seed. That was the first time we achieved that. And then we entered the state tournament with an unbeaten regular season record. First time in program history. The team finished the season 10 wins and 1 loss. Only loss came in an 11-inning championship game against the Lakeville Cats. Last season, most of the team, a lot of these guys were here on last year's team. We were the 3rd place state finishers, so we were standing here recognized a year ago. Our program continues to grow, and we continue to successfully complete. We're up to numbers at about 45. Which is quite the amazing growth from we were down about 32 last year. So I think the most special thing is that our kids come from many different schools, and they have an opportunity through the Hawks to not just compete, but also build lifelong relationships with each other. And we appreciate that. I appreciate that more than anything. So I'd like to recognize the members of the team that are here tonight. And first I'd like to recognize Thomas Christofferson, who you probably have seen a few times here. Give a wave, Thomas. Thomas has been our captain for quite a few years. We're happy to see him graduate, move on, but he's going to be really, really missed. I'd also like to recognize Kyle Jacobson. He has been our other co-captain. Lucky for us, he's a junior. He'll be back next year. Also like to recognize Emily Cole, senior. We'll lose her as she graduated this year. We also have Ada Kramer, go ahead and wave, and Mark Manwarren, Andrew Nathy, Colin Price, and Jacob Stats. Not able to join us tonight, we have Sam Clough, Deshaun Collins Bascombe, Ben Dilly, Miles Johnson, Jeffrey Rosga, Mackay Smith, Natalie Soul, and then I'm also presenting the team with my assistant coaches, Jenny Klotz and Jeff Anderson. Thank you.
Congratulations. We'll miss you next year. Congratulations. 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 So glad you're here. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, Coach.
All right. The celebrations don't stop there because next on our agenda is superintendent's recognition of students and staff. So I'll turn it over to Superintendent Krieger.
Thank you. And we are also congratulating Eastview High School students Hamani Mundal and Sahiti Atluri and Riley Hetland on earning top 10 finishes at the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America National Leadership Conference in Denver earlier this month. And congratulations to Griffin Jones of the School of Environmental Science on being selected to be the 2023 Minnesota delegate to the National Youth Science Camp in West Virginia. The 3-week camp was held in June and July and is sponsored by the National Youth Science Academy.
We do not have any special communications requests tonight, so that brings us to our consent agenda. We have 21 items on our consent agenda tonight. Those items are school board member employment, resolution for periodic performance evaluations of superintendent, minutes of the December 12th, 2022 regular school board meeting, minutes of the June 26th, 2023 regular school board meeting, minutes of the June 28th special school board meeting, minutes of the July 10th, 2023 special school board meeting, advertising revenue, gifts, grants, summary of claims for June 2023, fresh produce bid award, disposable products bid award, truth and taxation hearing, personnel, employee agreements, probationary, termination and non-renewal of probationary teachers, student-teacher agreement, joint powers agreement between District 196, County of Dakota, and other cities and school districts within the county for provision of absentee voting administration services for the November 2023 election, catastrophic accident insurance, and amendments to the agreement for police liaison services with the city of Eagan. Are there any items that a board member would like to remove from the consent agenda tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I heard a motion by Sachin and a second by Art. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. Next on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Christopher Onyango-Robshaw to introduce us to our speaker tonight around the pre-sale report for the general obligation facility maintenance and school building bonds.
Good evening, Chair Johnson, Superintendent Greer, members of the board. We know we will be issuing bonds to do the construction, and so to help guide us through part of the paperwork process that we have to go through is Ms. Jody Zasba. She is the Senior Municipal Advisor with Ehlers, and she's going to guide us through the report that you have in your packet this evening.
Thank you, Christopher. Well, good evening and congratulations on the passing of both questions on the bond referendum with such great support from throughout the community. It's going to be super exciting to see how everything plays out over the next handful of years, but happy to have played a small part in it and looking forward now to some continued good news. So we'll go through that tonight. I'll just point out a few things on each of the pages where the narrative is a part of this report. So page 1, we are issuing $300 million of general obligation facilities maintenance and school building bonds. So you'll recall as part of the plan, there was the voter approved component, but also some facilities maintenance bonds as part of the long-term facilities maintenance program. And the bond attorney wanted the facilities maintenance title to be first, so we just complied with the way that she wanted that to be set up. So as part of the issue, $280 million will be a portion of the school building bonds that were approved by the voters, and then the remaining $20 million for facilities maintenance projects. The purpose is listed there, and then you'll notice in the term and call feature on that page, these bonds will be just a little over 20 years, and we will have a call date of 2032 for the 2033 maturities and later. So we always set the call date at the time of issuance, and that's what we have set for this issue. Turning to page 2 then, you will participate in the state credit enhancement program as part of this bond issue, and that was in the language that you approved at your June 26th meeting. So participating in that program allows you to get a state credit enhanced rating that's one notch lower than where the current rating is for the state of Minnesota, which is a AAA. So you'll have the AA1 rating as part of the state credit enhancement program, along with your underlying rating, which we hope to maintain at that nice high AA2. But we'll go through the rating process with Christopher and Mark, and we've got that all scheduled. At the bottom of page 2, you'll see that we will solicit competitive bids, just like we always do for your bonds. So we expect to have a lot of interest in your bonds, and we'll be presenting you with those results once we get those at the August 22nd sale date. Top of page 3, we have continued to receive premium bids for bonds, and I'll show you how that looks once we get to the financial schedules, but we expect to receive a premium. And then the next item, as you know, we're always monitoring your debt for refunding opportunities, and our next refunding opportunity, which I know Jackie gets excited about, fall of 2025. So we've got that coordinated with the next issue of facilities maintenance and school building bonds. So we'll coordinate all that together, but that's the next opportunity that we have to capture some savings for your taxpayers. Then we've got a couple of regulatory items, continuing disclosure and arbitrage monitoring. On page 4, I'll just point out that we are working in conjunction with your bond attorney, Dorsey & Whitney, Bond Trust Services as a paying agent, and then Moody's as your rating agency. On page 5, we have the schedule. So you approved the resolution authorizing the sale of bonds at your June 26th meeting. Tonight, we're going through the pre-sale report. We've scheduled a due diligence call to go through the preliminary official statement that we'll be drafting on your behalf. As I mentioned, we have the conference call scheduled with Moody's for August 8th, and we'll be distributing the official statement on August 10th, and then receiving bids on Tuesday, August 22nd. I know you only have one regular board meeting scheduled in August, so we thank you for considering that special meeting, and we think avoiding a Monday in the market will give you a little bit more exposure and better results. Mondays end up being pretty busy days in the municipal bond market. And then we're scheduled to close on September 14th, so that's when you'll have your funds. The financial schedules that are attached then start on page 6, and you'll notice the par amount of the bonds as the first line item within the sources of funds section, but then you'll see that large reoffering premium, and this is an estimate of what we expect to get on the day of sale, but we do expect to get a sizable premium on the bond issue. And then at the bottom of the page there, you'll see the initial deposit to the construction fund from this first bond issue. Page 7 is the combined principal and interest schedule. And of note, at the bottom of the page in the yield statistics, the true interest cost rate that we're expecting with a little cushion built in compared to existing rates is about 3.79%. Page 8 shows the school building bond portion of the bond issue, so the $280 million. And because this is a longer term of the two portions of the bond issue, in the true interest cost rate within the yield statistics, we're planning on a 3.81 for this portion of the bond issue. Page 9 is the facilities maintenance bonds, which is the $20 million portion of this bond issue. We expect to pay that back more quickly, and so you can see the true interest cost rate that we're estimating for that portion of the bond issue is 3.27. Page 10 is our long-term debt schedule that we work on and put together lots of different assumptions. So I know there's many numbers on this page, but I'll just draw your attention to a few things. First, in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see the list of bond issues. And you'll notice that that final building bond issue that we planned prior to the election on November 15th is now a 0. So we're expecting to issue these bonds over 2 bond issues rather than 3, and that'll coincide better with your draw schedule that we received on when you expect to finish up all the projects. That November 15th date for the next round of bond issues does coincide with when we plan to capture some refunding savings on refunding bond issue. And then the interest rates in that right-hand part of the box, prior to the election, we were estimating 4.75%. If you'll recall, back in December and even continuing to now, rates have been pretty volatile. So it was hard to know where the market was going to be at. So we had some cushion built into that. We still have some cushion built into these rates, but we're hoping to achieve somewhere in the under 4% for both components of the bond issue will be great. And then we've also updated some assumptions related to your tax base growth. So that's shown on the left-hand side in the percent change column. We had built in for final taxes payable in 23 about 17.3%. The actual growth in your tax base was slightly above that. We had only planned for 2.5% growth going into this next year, and we've increased that estimate to 5.5. The estimate that we've received from Dakota County is a little higher than that, but we try to remain conservative throughout all of the assumptions that we're building into this plan. Finally, on this page, I'll point out in the box at the top right-hand corner, that last line used to say 25 tax levies. So due to all of these changes and assumptions, we've now cut a full year off of the tax levies for the taxpayers, which is great to see. So then finally, on page 11, this is where we see the tax rates over time for all of your different capital and debt service levies. We do have the change between taxes payable in 23 and taxes payable in 24, consistent with what our pre-election estimates were, and that is $18 per month on a home with a value of $400,000. So that's consistent. What has changed is due to all of the improvements in the assumptions that I just discussed, we were able to put a drop down in your payment schedule, starting with taxes payable in 2037. Those tax rates were level over the entire 25-year period. Now it's a 24-year period. So with all of those changes, we were able to move principal up, pay these off more quickly, and our total principal and interest now on these schedules for your school building bonds and facilities maintenance bonds as compared to the pre-election estimates show a reduction of $35 million in interest. So that's how much those changes in assumptions and improvements have helped this plan. Allows us to have that drop down, and that gives you some capacity in the future for any future projects. So we're really pleased with where things stand right now. We're thrilled with the results of the election and being able to move forward with this, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Jackie.
The drop down in 2026, there's a drop down in 2024 and then a little bit of a drop down in 2026. That's just,
So those dotted lines are capitalized interest. So they're intended to represent amounts that we will commit from bond proceeds to keep those tax rates nice and level. So that's why those are the dotted lines.
got it, thank you.
And those are smaller than what we had
Originally.
previously, which is great news too, because then you'll be able to capture that for project costs.
Well, Jody, we can't thank you enough, and we'll look forward to having you come back August 22nd and hoping that we're all under 4%. And it probably will be just
Yes,
like
we
that.
sure hope
But that's
so.
an interesting range from estimate from 3.27 to other ones, right in that 3.8 range. So, good stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is a lot of savings when you look out. I mean, and probably all of us will still be on the board here in 2038 when that drops down. But that is $35 million worth of savings for our taxpayers, and that is incredible.
It
So
is.
the work you do with us to keep us, real consistent is really appreciated.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, thank you for being here with us tonight and walking us through the figures. I look forward to seeing what our true interest rate is on August 22nd.
Sounds great. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is old business, and I'd like to welcome Jill Coyle to the podium to discuss Policy 506 on student welfare.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Krieger. I am before you tonight with old business, Policy 506, Student Welfare. As you know, Policy 506 covers a variety of topics, all relating to student welfare. One of the topics covered is the stocking of naloxone in our schools. That's policy language that we put in place back in February. Since that time, the Minnesota legislature made some changes to the law governing naloxone in Minnesota schools, specifically broadening the group of individuals who can administer naloxone. Was previously only school nurses. It's been broadened to cover all employees. In addition, the legislature put a requirement in place requiring all schools to stock 2 doses of the nasal naloxone. So what we're doing tonight in terms of the proposed changes is to catch up with those legislative changes, both in terms of who's authorized to administer as well as the number of doses that we stock. It is an old business item, so it's here for action tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. This is an action item tonight, so before I go for any questions, is there a motion to approve from the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I heard a motion by Art and a second by Jackie, I believe. All right, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? All right. Seeing none, pretty straightforward, and you kind of went through it when it was new business at our last meeting. So I'll go to the board. All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no new business or other action items tonight, which brings us to school board member and superintendent updates. Are there any board members with items they'd like to share? Seeing none, I'll turn over to Superintendent Krieger.
Our schools have been buzzing with learning and activity all summer long. Our Summer Academy program for students at all 6 of our middle schools ended last week, and today was the first day of Camp Propel for more than 2,000 elementary students. Camp Propel is being held at 9 sites this summer and is available to students at all 19 of our elementary schools. And for those who want to take in a show, Eagan High School Summer Community Theater is giving 3 more performances of The Wizard of Oz, and the reviews have come back amazing. So the remaining performances are July 27, 28, and 29. Go to the Eagan High School website for showtimes and to purchase tickets. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of our agenda this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Joel and a second by Bianca. Great. All right, all those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Be louder.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. We are adjourned.